an analysis of the main supply chain management issues faced by global firm Jaguar Land Rover since 2020, and an identification of the strategic steps they have taken due to these issues. This is our supply chain management assessment completed by Sophie-Louise, Sophie-Louise Nolan, Oreoluwa, and Jamin. Included in the content of this presentation is the introduction, history, Jaguar supply chain management, the impacts, issues, conclusion, and references.
Supply chain management is the management of the flow of goods and services and includes all processes that transforms raw materials into final products. This assignment allowed us to examine the major supply chain management issues confronting Irish and global businesses since 2020. We chose Jaguar because we were able to research their main issues that arose during COVID-19, including chip shortages, the Russia-Ukraine war, Brexit, and many others.
Jaguar was founded in 1922 as Swallow's Sidecar Company, with nearly 38,000 individuals that are employed by the business internationally and another 275,000 that are supported by local businesses, suppliers, and retailers. They have additional operations in China, Brazil, and India. Manufacturing is mostly focused in the UK. It first produced motorcycle sidecars before it started to create the bodywork for passenger cars, which now allow cars to have more than 2 seats. Jaguar over the years created cars for the British Prime Minister, and the most recent one was the XJ in May 2010. Jaguar Cars and Land Rover merged to establish Jaguar Land Rover Limited in 2013. This allowed them to create a whole new exclusive design production while increasing their sales and getting them new brand owners for both Jaguar and Land Rover cars. Wilkes had begun work on the original vehicle design in 1947 on his farm in Newborough with his brother Spencer, who was a managing director of Rover. They say the design of the Jeep had a great effect on the design and prototype of Jaguar. Also, in the early days of Jaguar, the color was an army green based off the military surplus of supplies of aircraft cockpit paint. Jaguar origins can be found in 1922, as they invented the first disc brake in the history of the world when they created the first automobile in 1935. It was also the first car to reach a speed of 120 kilometers per hour. With Jaguar, they have a unique design that runs through all their vehicles, and all characteristics can be seen in their cars, including their agility, power, sleekness, and allure. With Jaguar first appearing in 1948 at the Amsterdam Motor Show, they became the first in the world to push boundaries of exploration. The brand connects people who have a passion for adventure with the purposeful innovation that distinguishes their range of automobiles. As the Wilkes Brothers' original Series 1 Land Rover served as the inspiration for newer models, it seemed fitting that a Range Rover was the first vehicle to arrive at the finish line of the first Paris-Dakar Rally in 1979.
Hi, my name is Jamin, and I'm here to talk about the issues faced by Jaguar Land Rover since 2020. So the first issue we have here is COVID. The COVID pandemic has resulted in suspension of all UK plans. This has forced JLR, like many others across the world, to have been forced to idle production. If we look to the left, we can see a diagram which explains the impact of COVID-19 epidemic in the operation of business. We can see positive impact has affected 2.8%. There's been no impact with 3.3%, and we can see a big impact on the negative impact of 93.9% of all operations of business. So we can see how Jaguar Land Rover has been widely affected by this. The next issue I'll be talking about is chip shortages. First of all, why are chips important within the automotive industry? It is a key component, especially in this technological age within cars now, which is in high demand. So basically, why is there a shortage in chips? The COVID pandemic has resulted in a significant supply chain disruptions. This began with a decrease in chip demand in 2020 as a result of lockdowns at factories around the globe. Chip manufacturers in South Korea and Taiwan reduced their production capacity and overestimated the rise in demand. This mixed with just-in-time lean inventories causes big supply chain issues. The next issue I'm going to talk about is the Russia and Ukraine conflict. The Russia/Ukrainian conflict's ramifications will profoundly impact, reshape geopolitics, economies, trade, and the trajectory of the automotive industry for years, if not decades to come. On the topic of semiconductors/chips, Russia's position as a major supplier of neon used in the production of semiconductors will be a very big issue, because on top of the shortage already of semiconductors/chips, we can see this will profoundly impact JLR and the automotive industry. The next issue I will be talking about is Brexit. The manufacturers of, quote, made in UK, quote, cars are facing a worrying dilemma that their vehicles might not be British enough to escape expensive tariffs after Brexit. The rules of origin explain regulations which will require UK-produced vehicles to meet a threshold percentage of domestically sourced components parts to be eligible for a tariff-free trade. Failure to meet this threshold will result in tariffs of up to 4% on car parts, and this will be imposed. Now we see the issue and impact this will have on Jaguar Land Rover, as Jaguar Land Rover imports 40% of its materials from the continent. Now, I will be talking about the issue of climate change and sustainability. For decades, the car has been an essential part of daily life across the world, but as we know, vehicles are a major cause of global warming. The UN's IPCC estimates that the transport sector as a whole accounts for approximately 23% of total energy-related CO2 emissions.
Potential future supply chain management issues that Jaguar may face. Stock market crash. With the foreboding idea of a stock market crash, this would be a huge hindrance to Jaguar's revenue, as no one would be purchasing stock anymore. Rise of cryptocurrency. Crypto is a new and up-and-coming way of payment, but with that, there's also the issue of false and fraudulent payments. Shortage of raw materials. Metal would be one of Jaguar's main raw materials, but with the ever-increasing price, this would cause a huge issue to Jaguar's cost of supplies, as it is still on the rise. Pound dropping in comparison to other countries. This is due to Brexit and the issues that come with that itself. China potentially creating a new currency. China and Russia's gold agreement. China's potential future issue of Taiwan. This would be a huge issue for Jaguar, as Taiwan is a major chip production company for Jaguar. No chips means no cars and no sales.
Like many other companies, Jaguar was hugely affected by COVID-19. In March 2020, the British government announced a nationwide lockdown, which meant Jaguar had to suspend all operations across their UK plants and retailers. You weren't able to purchase a Jaguar car in person. It was all moved to online. As a result, their sales and profits were significantly impacted. Their year-by-year sales fell by 42.4% and their month-by-month fell by 24.9%. In April 2021, due to the chip shortage, Jaguar Land Rover had to suspend 2 of their plants. This was blamed on the ongoing pandemic. A Jaguar Land Rover spokesperson announced, "As a result, we have adjusted production schedules for certain vehicles, which means that 2 of our manufacturing plants will be operating a limited period of non-production from Monday, 26th of April. The ongoing struggles between Russia and Ukraine have affected every company in one way or another. Due to trading challenges, Jaguar has decided to halt vehicle deliveries to Russia. The UK government has publicly backed Jaguar's decision. We can predict this decision will affect their sales and profits for this year, as Russia has a bigger market than India. Production of the vehicles wasn't heavily affected as they don't have any production plants in Russia or Ukraine. Within recent months, Russia has announced that they will be shutting off gas supplies to Europe, and as Russia is one of the biggest gas suppliers, the gas price has risen, so this will affect their production costs. In October 2021, the big oil-producing countries, such as Russia, gathered together and decided they are going to produce less oil, which will increase the price. This will add to the machine and production costs of the plant. As it is being predicted that we are heading into a global recession, as everything is increasing in price, people are having to prioritize their spending on the necessities such as food, water, and heating. Having a luxury car isn't at the top of the priority list for most people. It is likely Jaguar sales might end up dropping because of this, and demand for the cars will drop, meaning they will have to produce less. Jaguar Land Rover is a British brand, and due to the uncertainty around Brexit, like many other companies, they were hit bad. In 2019, they decided to shut down one of their plants, which meant a slowdown in production as around 12,000 cars were unable to be produced. If there was a bad Brexit deal, a Jaguar spokesperson announced that they feared this would cost them more than $1.2 billion in annual profit. Due to Britain leaving the EU, it has become harder to export products. In October 2020, there were some delays in moving the cars and their components across borders, which disrupted their supply chain. Battling climate change has become a top priority for Jaguar. They decided to set certain goals in place to help combat climate change, which they hope to have achieved by the end of the decade. By the end of this decade, all nameplates will be pure electric. By 2025, they want to be known as an all-electric luxury car brand. They are recycling and reusing old car components, such as giving the batteries a second life. Jaguar wants to be the pioneers of aluminum construction. This will reduce the weight of the vehicles by supporting powertrain innovation. They are starting to use a closed-loop strategy. They have partnered with Brunel University on a climate change research project where Jaguar has donated £2 million to help the cause.
Potential future supply chain management impacts that Jaguar might face. Stock market crash. It is being predicted that there will be a stock market crash soon, and if there is, it means Jaguar will become less profitable. Rise of cryptocurrency. Due to crypto, it is easier to make fraudulent transactions. It is also possible to create fake crypto coins. Shortage in raw materials. Raw materials are becoming harder to find. Metal is a raw material, and as it is becoming harder to find, it will then become more expensive to use. Pound dropping. Because we are still learning about the repercussions of Brexit, the pound is continuing to drop, and if it continues dropping, this will affect their global revenue. China new currency. China claims that their new currency will wipe out the dollar, and who's to say that the pound won't be affected either? China invasion. If China invades Taiwan, it will become harder to get chips and it will then become more expensive. And lastly, with our conclusion, it is shown through research how supply chain management breakdowns can affect the whole company. Without the proper supplies to manufacture goods, the business will suffer and customer satisfaction will decline. This isn't good supply chain management, as it is not boosting customer service but doing the opposite. A key part of supply chain management is to reduce operating costs, but obviously with no cars being manufactured, there is no cost. But the company would be in a huge loss, as with no one working, no one would be buying cars, as there would be no revenue to buy cars with. Jaguar had to suspend all production in 2020 due to COVID, so no profits were being made, which is bad for supply chain as there would be no profits leverage and decrease all cash flow.